Who is really in charge of the world? This is Tony. Hope you're all doing well. Got a rather curious video for you today, my friends. We have, of course, also what's going on in the world. Everyone not so happy with what's going on. We can see, obviously, things are not going well in many respects, particularly with our president. But what's interesting is, who's really in charge? Is it God or is it man? And of course, I've talked about some of these predictions in the past, but these are really mind-blowing because it tells you our future. It tells you what's coming up, because a lot of the things that have been happening have all been predicted. And we have something coming up here in September that is going to be, I would say, life-changing. We're talking about a huge change coming, a massive upheaval in just a little bit of time here, a month or two. And of course, I talked about this one man who predicted our current president, said he would have two, of course, terms, talked about them trying to take, him out, talked about predicted numerous things. And I'm actually going to show you some of them here. I showed this clip. Actually, I'm going to show that clip in a second here. We have here a couple of the predictions. He prophesied back in 2009 that there will be a Revelation 12, sign. And that happened in 2017, which is kind of amazing. We had, of course, also this prediction that just came true not even a week ago. It was about a week ago, I think it was. A little less than a week ago now. Actually, it was a few days ago. Back in 2014. I've played the clip in a previous video. I will shake the Democrats and I will shake the Republicans even more. This is what he said. And in this exact same prediction, he goes on to talk about what's going to happen in September or in the fall. And let me play a little bit of this. So he said, obviously, that he's going to shake the Republicans even more. They were the ones who decided back on July 15th, literally not to allow the release, of course, of those files. That was the Republicans that stopped it. Now check this out.
These tremors, and when these tumultuous moments happen, summer says, I will take it so that the fall can do its work.
Okay, so he said that I will shake the Democrats, I will shake the Republicans even more. And he says that it will happen in the summer. We're in the summer. And then he'll take that, even though it's not good, I'll take that so that fall can do its work. And that's when he goes on later in this exact same prediction. Continuing on, he says, in the fall, many will fall. And I believe it has direct ties to, of course, this list. Let's play this again and continue.
And these tremors, and when these tumultuous moments happen, summer says, I will take it so that the fall can do its work in America. Princes of darkness and demonic powers are raging for these two. And during the fall there shall be many that shall fall, and many that shall rise from the dust. The earth.
Many shall fall in the fall, and many shall rise from the dust. And we knew this, that he was talking about this year back in April, because he predicted Pope Francis would fall. And I actually covered that in a previous video as well, talking about the spirit of Pythos, and I showed how the term Vatican means serpent diviner. And literally that's when he died. He died around the time of Easter or Passover, and he died within the time frame of the prediction. So this is the guy who predicted, of course, that Kennedy would join our president before our president was even president. He's like, he will join him. Now, no one would have ever imagined that because he was on the left, but he did, didn't he? So this guy predicted that back in like 2009. I covered that also on my channel. I have a video, actually. You can go look at my list of videos, you'll find one where I talk about that and show that. So this is just barely scratching the surface. We all know, according to these predictions, that we're in the year where all this big stuff happens. And it seems very strangely tied, of course, to these files. We have also another guy who predicts things here. And again, this is a business channel, but I'm talking about this stuff because I think it's very important. Because we need a country to go forward. If we don't have a country, this whole thing's going to fall apart. And it's very, very obviously going to go a very dark direction. You can see what's going on with AI. You have Peter Thiel, who also apparently got money from this guy named Jeffrey. I think you know who I'm referring to get going in his business. And of course, he just had a meeting, and I showed that in a previous video, with certain people. Okay, got caught in a meeting there. And they're talking. We have people that worked on OpenAI talking that in 2 years, it's going to be like Terminator. We're going to have literally AI that's superhuman with robots, and they could be taking all the jobs. Obviously, that's not good for the economy, particularly if these people at the top are all corrupt and they're running the show. They don't care about you and I. Even Billy Boy the computer guy, Gates, was on a recent talk show. I can't remember if it was Jimmy Kimmel, who it was. It was like literally like 2 weeks ago. And there's a clip of him saying, "We'll decide who gets jobs." Let me go find that. I don't even have that pulled up. I'm just taking stuff off the top of my head that I've seen recently. Let me see if I can find it real quick. If my computer works. All right. Hopefully it works. Really? Okay. Apparently it doesn't want to work right now. Come on. Go to X. X is not loading. Wow, good timing. Apparently I'm not gonna... Okay, here we go. Now it's starting to load. So let me go find that clip. Yeah, by the way, X has been going down too lately. AI. Okay, let's see if I can find this. Yeah, here it is. It was July 3rd.
People are like, wow, this is a bit scary. It's completely new territory.
I mean, will we still need humans?
Not for most things. We'll just...
Look at him smile. Not for most things. We don't need you anymore. We don't need you anymore. So obviously this is a business channel. For us to actually have jobs and be able to make money in the future, might not want AI to take over everything, particularly with the plans that some of these guys have. And so what I'm saying is a lot of people are very concerned about the direction of our country, wondering what's happened to our president, and are curious what's going to happen. And I'm saying that God is going to fix this. I said even 6 months ago or a year ago that it's not going to be our president that fixes this. It's not going to be, oh, these secret whatever group or all these guys that are the good guy. No, they're not going to fix it. God is going to fix this. Because if you look in Scripture, it talks about that he's not going to give glory to another. You've seen Scriptures where it says not even one person's living right. And God somehow saves the day. Right? You saw it with the disciples all running away at the most crucial moments. And that's what we're seeing here. They're all running away from this big problem. They can't handle this. Right? So what I'm saying is we have a number of prophets, people that predict things correctly, saying that something huge is happening in the fall. And this whole thing's going to get turned around miraculously. Miraculously. Not because of some good guy or some president or whatever. Okay? It's going to be literally God. And it's going to be obvious. Okay? And it sounds like many will fall in the fall, literally. And some of it's going to be supernatural from what I can tell. I'm not sure how it all will work out, but it's going to be really bizarre. Let's just put it that way. So we got these guys thinking that they're going to just keep continuing doing all the stuff they've been doing. Nobody's going to stop them. That's what they think. Now, of course, we had here Troy Black also predict that our president, right here in this video, a month ago, literally will disappoint us greatly. And that's exactly happened. This guy also has an extremely good track record of predicting things right. He's had about 100 predictions. He literally has a website documenting them all, showing like 100 different things he predicted correctly. This guy, you can go check out his channel, Troy Black. And he says here, then I heard, watch and see what comes next because it will be brutal to some and play on the emotions for others. And he said, a friend who let you down. And then he said, you aren't going to like how this plays out, how it wraps up. So it's obviously referring to our president and what he's recently did. Now, there's a number of things, like I said, Clement has gotten correct. And some of these here in this list are actually very complex and are more spiritual in nature. But there's supposed to be some sort of leader that comes next. And it's not a president that's going to lead the way. He's going to be sort of a Daniel type of figure, a Joseph type of figure, someone that God raises up that will become a massive voice in our country and will actually get our president on track. We'll set him straight. He will be somewhat of a leadership in the church as well. And so that is supposed to be coming up soon here. We don't know when or who it is. Now, you have here a huge disappointment of our president. The man right next to him is literally Jeffrey's neighbor. So this obviously is not what you would call a good sign. The guy laughs when our president says that this whole island thing is just a hoax made up by the other side. He laughs. He's literally the neighbor. He was his neighbor. Okay. Howard here, that's his name, literally lived next door to Jeffrey. I showed this clip on a previous video. Again, this was all predicted back in 2014. This year would happen. What we're seeing in the summer as we go into the fall. Matter of fact, I even had a dream about this. The summer was all nice and good, and then all of a sudden got dark very quickly. Started raining. There was no power in the city. I know it's partially symbolic. I don't know what it means, but obviously it was a very nice, normal day at first. The president gets in, everything seems normal, and all of a sudden this stuff starts happening as we go into September. Whatever that is. I guess we'll find out soon here. We're already starting to see it, obviously. 3 months worth of food supply. You might want to get that. $4.97. You never know what's next. You can see already how things are going. The writing is on the wall partially. This is asking for God's, judgment, my friends. When you turn a blind eye to all the bad things that were done like this, you're asking for it. You're literally asking for it, particularly the leadership, because we're not going for this. We're not standing with this. We're not going to follow in line and just follow wherever you say to go. Okay? So it's wise to be prepared. Go get that if you have not already. Link is in the description. Also, this book here, The Lost Ways, How Your Great-Great-Grandfather Lived Without Electricity, Had a Bit of Cellar, Do Things Around the House as they did in the old days, hundreds of pages illustrated. You're going to need that book before the power goes out. That is one of the things China's been talking about. They also made, well, I can't say if they did it or not, but they were 30 miles north in Canada doing quote-unquote exercises when 3 power substations went off, I think it was a year and a half or 2 years ago, in Washington State by hacking. Oh, I don't know. That might have been some sort of, test. Who knows, right? We've seen recently also in Europe a number of power outages. Of course, that could easily have something to do with it as well. We have here another clip from Clement. The Spirit of Python. All right, here we go.
I saw a python which speaks of a spiritual suffocation that was coming, that it actually had laid eggs, and it was a spirit that is upon this nation, and that God was going to take charge of it over the first, from January, from the first 80 to 100 days. Now, I didn't know what that meant, and I still don't know what that means, but I'll tell you this much. The first 80 to 100 days, which starting now in January, whatever time that is, this spirit will be destroyed. But I really felt burdened because I knew that it wouldn't just go easily. Now, where's that picture Did we Facebook the picture of that?
So it's interesting, of course, he talks about how America's like an eagle and swoops down to get this python. And then, of course, it's like a war between the two. We had, of course, and I actually haven't talked about, I don't know if I've talked about it on this channel, something we did back in the 1960 something. I don't have it in front of me. It was a certain operation. Oh yeah, that's right. Looking Glass. And of course, there was someone who was involved in that who said a rather curious story where we made a deal, not we, but our government made a deal with some sort of entity for 50 years. And just after this deal was made, that's when Roe, v. Wade went through. That's when they took God out of schools. And then after 50 years, all of a sudden that thing was overturned. I guess that's just a weird coincidence, right? Perhaps we are now finally getting free from this python. And it looks like our leadership is the main issue, particularly in it seems like a lot of sectors of society at this point because of that island. But this is what needs to be dealt with. It's not going to be some lone ranger. It's not going to be some guy some political figure that's going to save us. It has to be God. And if the country is doing literal deals, with the devil, that's an issue. That's a little bit of an issue. The people need to rise up against this, which we have, and we've seen progress in this area. We've seen the country start to turn around. But now we're in a precarious position with our president, with this whole topic. And we had, of course, an X put over America. Where did I put that? I don't even have it in front of me. We have from the solar eclipses. Let me show you that. And this was from between 2017 and 2024. I can't look it up that way. That literally doesn't work. Okay. Okay. 2024, 2017. Let's do it that way. Maybe I'll pull it up. Yeah, here we go. Well, that partially. Yeah, here it is. So you had, of course, this whole solar eclipse thing. You see an X over America. And there was a third eclipse that came across. If I can, let's just click on this and stay here. All right, here we go. A third eclipse that came across right here. And guess where that crossed with the 2024 one? Right where we had the Texas floods recently. Very interesting. Now that would have created, if you put another line here, it puts an A over America, alpha, like the alpha and the omega. Now, if it was just an X, that looks like a sign of judgment. Maybe it's both. Maybe it's judgment and then God is over a country. And a lot of people talked about how things have changed since April 2024, particularly with how the sun has been and just other strange oddities people have noticed with the weather and things of that nature. That the weather's been different. The sun has even been different. I've covered that on another video on my other channel. There's a lot of bizarre videos that have come out regarding that. Like, for example, this one where, and I don't want to get into all of it here. There's also another one over here as well where this guy's talking about how the sun was coming up at a very different time than usual. And just how the sun has been behaving differently. People are noticing that they get sunburns much easier. My son was outside for literally half an hour and he got partial sunburn. That's insane. I was outside for 2 hours watching a baseball game. I forgot to put sunscreen on. Very first time. And I got a sunburn and it lasted literally a week and more than a week. It was a really bad sunburn from just 2 hours. I wasn't outside for 8 hours. I was out for 2 hours. And my son got a partial sunburn from 30 minutes. Like, what the hell? And I noticed a bunch of other weird Reddit posts like that. People noticing the same thing. One guy said he never wore sunscreen, never got a sunburn. Also, now he's getting sunburns. Just really bizarre stuff like that. Now, could there have been some sort of change? I don't know. Who knows? But I thought it was kind of curious looking at this crossing that I showed you here, God has put his judgment. See, whenever you have a 7-year span like this, it's called a harbinger. So you're given warning on August 21st, 2017, and you have 7 years to change. That's kind of the idea. And I believe we've changed enough to where God is decided the judgment isn't on the entire country, but rather perhaps it's on the leadership of this country more so, and also part of the country as well, not the entire country. So I think we're going to be seeing a lot of crazy stuff from now until November, where God is essentially making this happen to where we see a massive change in our country as a result of this. And I got more clips to show you here as well as we get into this. What is this one here? I'm trying to remember what this is. Let me try this one. I had these all set up. I'm just trying to remember what this one is about. Let's just play it and see what it is. Okay, here we go.
And pleasure, and they shall infiltrate, and they shall say, we'll even black them out. We will even cause them to be so terrorized because there is darkness in one section and darkness in another section. Long Island and Babylon and New York.
Blackouts.
All these regions, we will blacken it out, and then we will cause them to hear and understand that we are in charge. You will not.
Okay, so I had a dream like I told you about this, what's coming up here in the fall. And I saw power outages in the city I was in the dream. I'm curious if that may be what we're going to be seeing soon here as well. If these people all get in trouble, and it's so many of them and it's so extensive, they're obviously not going to just say, well, God darn it, you got me, and then just like give in, right? They're going to like do stuff, okay? Perhaps power, failures and things like that might be part of it, right? So he's predicting, we don't know what this is referring to, what time frame, but I'm kind of curious if it's not what's coming up here.
Do this as you plan, but the Spirit of the Lord says, even as my prophet prays and gathers the people together, and the people pray and make declaration that there is only one God, and that eternal God shall destroy the power and the plans of mere mortal man. This day, Lord, I call to you, bring down the forces in the region of New York, and as we go there, we stand there, declare the will of the Lord and expose the very forces of hell. I pray today for this nation, and I call to you to bring your life and your breath upon us in the name of Yeshua. I thank you for doing it.
All right, so you got the idea that he's saying that we can essentially stop this with God's power. I know it sounds, this is a business channel, but like I said, man, if our country keeps going this direction, we ain't going to have a country. We ain't going to have a country. You got AI, you got all these things coming up here. It ain't looking good. You have to think ahead. My entire thing ever since I got on YouTube was thinking about what the future is going to be. And that's what I do. I do a lot of analysis and try to figure out where it's going. Where's the good? Where's the evil? Can we turn this around? Obviously, if AI is... you saw what Bill said there on... what was that? Jimmy Kimmel? I don't even know what channel... what show. Yeah. Yeah, so here you have him on a talk show. Jimmy Fallon, right? Isn't that the guy's name? Jimmy Fallon? Whatever his name is. I don't watch those guys. I think it's Jimmy Fallon. Yeah, so he's saying that, well, we'll decide if we need humans. We don't really need you. You see his face? He's like shocked at his response. Like, are you serious? Like you're saying we don't need people anymore? Yeah, we got robots to do everything for us. We don't need you anymore. See, that's what I'm trying to get at. Kind of important, I would say, that for the future of our country, that things go the right direction. Here we have a number of clips where he had predictions come true. Let's see if I can get some of this playing.
For the enemy will do everything in his power to put a witch in the White House.
I wonder who he's referring to. Hillary? Maybe?
Did anybody hear what he just said? For Jezebel has chased away the prophets and even Elijah. Come on. Now I have said, go back. For this shall be dismantled, so that there will be no more corruption in the White House, says the Spirit. Now God says, a president that I will bring into the White House, and they will say he is ungodly. He does not know God. Even as Jesus disguised himself for the great feast, so I have disguised this man's heart. And when he comes to the White House, not only shall he be mine, but he shall pray as a man that has never prayed in the White House. And God...
So, of course, we've seen him obviously get in, and he didn't look like he was religious at all, and he still doesn't, actually. So the curious part is, when does he change? Is that very soon?
Says they will say, how did this take place? Laws shall change. Young men and young women shall have access into the kingdom, and with authority into politics, and with authority into the industries that now have...
Think about that. Think about all those in Congress. They're all older than you can even imagine. He said young people will finally have access into there because they've been gatekeeping that forever. That's why you got like 70, 80-year-olds in there. You don't have anybody young in there.
Been controlled by darkness because of this man that shall rule for another 2 terms, but there will be things that men shall question.
There's other prophets too. There's a guy named Groover. He's also died. He showed how he had a dream about him coming to his house as a king, our president, and then leaving his mantle and then going away for a while and then coming back, meaning he's going to have a term in between his 2 terms. And there's actually, I think Kim even says this. He even says it in another prediction. This guy died 9 years ago. Okay, this is old stuff. This was 2007. I just played you there. That was almost 20 years ago. So, kind of amazing. This guy could have never predicted this out of his own volition. The fact is, he would have had no clue. Everyone would have laughed at him. Matter of fact, people were laughing at our president back in 2015 when he was running. Like, you're a joke, dude. You're never going to win, right? He predicted this back in 2007 that he would win. Okay, check this out. What is this? This is interesting.
I pray, Lord, that each warrior would receive just a glimpse of this future. That you will reign upon land, upon land, upon land, upon schools, colleges,
God back in school,
prisons, and let that church emerge that we know about, that is in existence. In existence. In the year 2013, this is 2027.
He said, let me play this. Check this out.
Now, Lord, I'm back. In the year 2013, this is 2027.
So he says, while he's saying this, he says, I'm in the year 2013, but I'm looking at the year 2027. So that in 2 years, you're going to be seeing God back in society the right way. That's what he's saying in that prediction. At any rate, that's my video. I'm kind of wondering what some of you guys think. Let me know in the comment section below, and thanks for watching.